Mara Kent pushed the front door shut with her shoulder, the weight of the 12-hour shift still clinging to her like damp clothing. The house greeted her with the kind of quiet she normally found comforting, but tonight it felt tighter, as if the walls were paying attention. She set her keys in the ceramic bowl by the entrance, hearing the soft clink echo through the hallway. That echo, slightly delayed, oddly hollow, was the first thing that made her pause. She blinked it away. Exhaustion did strange things. Everyone in the ER said so. Still, as she moved toward the kitchen, a wrongness tugged at her peripheral vision. The mug on the counter. She had left it drying upside down that morning, but now it stood upright, handle facing the stove, as if someone had considered how she'd want to hold it. She frowned, picking it up. It was dry, not newly washed, just moved. Narration told her it was nothing. Her heartbeat disagreed. Long shift, she muttered to herself, letting the sound fill the empty space. Talking aloud felt like proof she wasn't afraid, or alone. She reached for a glass of water, but when she turned around, the back door caught her eye. The deadbolt was unlatched. She never left it unlatched. A prickle crept up her spine. She touched the lock, feeling the faintest vibration beneath the metal. Her hand trembled, she clicked it shut. Description flickered through her thoughts. The dim kitchen light puddling on the tile, her own breath suspended in the air. The faint scent. Cologne. Not hers. Not Daniel's. Something sharper. Unfamiliar. Her throat tightened. "No," she whispered. "I'm just tired." She walked through each room like she was moving through memory, not space. Living room untouched, hallway neat, bedroom calm. Nothing out of place except the way everything felt slightly shifted, like someone had breathed on her life without permission. She dropped onto the couch, letting her bag fall to the floor. Her body felt heavy, her eyelids heavier. She let the quiet wrap around her, willing herself to unwind, to believe this house still belonged to her. But the silence didn't soothe. It pressed. Narration filled her mind. Mara Kent, 32, trusted her home, trusted routine, trusted the things she could hold. But tonight, she couldn't trust the space around her. She couldn't trust the air. A creak sounded from the hallway. Her jaw clenched. "Old house," she said aloud, though the structure was barely 10 years old. The minutes crawled. The sky outside turned deep blue, and night settled in with an unsettling heaviness. She tried watching a show, but her mind kept replaying the mug, the door, the cologne. By the time she stood up to head to bed, her stomach was knotted so tightly it hurt. She stepped into the staircase's shadow and froze. A sound drifted from upstairs. Slow, rhythmic. Not the house settling, not pipes. Footsteps. Her hand gripped the railing so hard her knuckles whitened. "Hello?" Her voice cracked. Silence. But then, one more step, directly above her. Her pulse thundered. Fear pressed into her ribs. Rational thought unraveled. She should run. She should call someone. But her feet moved her upward, drawn by a need to see, to confirm, to confront the thing her mind insisted wasn't real. Halfway up the stairs, she paused again. The air felt colder. The hallway light flickered. A soft thump sounded behind her bedroom door. She swallowed. "Who's there?" No answer. She reached the top step, every nerve screaming. Her reflection in the hallway mirror showed wide eyes, trembling lips, a woman trying to hold on to courage with fraying hands. Another step sounded, this time farther away down the hallway, retreating. Her heart raced with a strange mix of terror and relief. Whatever was there didn't want to confront her. It was moving, shifting, choosing distance. She took a breath and stepped forward, forcing herself to look into the shadows stretching across the floor. But nothing stirred. Nothing waited. Still, she felt watched. Slowly, she backed toward her room, closing the door but not locking it. Part fear, part instinct. Locking it felt like an invitation for something to try the handle. She sat on the edge of the bed, gripping her phone, listening. The house was still again, too still as if holding a breath. Narration wrapped around her thoughts. She had never feared her home before. She had never questioned its safety, its promises, But tonight, the house had lied, and she had listened. Her eyelids stung with exhaustion, but she refused to lie down. She stared at the doorway, waiting for movement, for the sound, for anything that explained the footsteps. Minutes passed. Then, very faintly, the softest tap sounded from the hallway. Intentional. Measured. Her chest tightened. Something was out there, and it was waiting for her to sleep. She rose, slowly, inching toward the door, her pulse hammering in her ears. Pressing her ear to the wood, she held her breath. The hallway beyond felt stretched and hollow, waiting for someone to move through it. Fear urged her to stay inside, but dread of not knowing pushed her forward. She opened the door a sliver. Nothing moved. Yet the air felt disturbed, as if a presence had slipped away seconds earlier. A thin draught brushed her arm, raising goosebumps. Her gaze dropped and froze. A faint shoe print marked the floor near the stairs, larger than hers, recent. Her throat tightened. "Please, just leave," she whispered. Only silence answered. She backed down the stairs, never turning from the shadowed hallway above. Each step felt heavier than the last. At the bottom, she gripped her phone with shaking hands. This wasn't exhaustion. Someone had been in her home. She stood in the dim living room glow, her breath unsteady, forcing herself not to glance over her shoulder. The house felt different now, as if it held a secret pressing against its walls. And deep down, she knew this was only the beginning for her. Mara woke with a jolt before dawn, her body stiff from curling on the couch. The memory of the footsteps upstairs clung to her like a film she couldn't shake. She sat upright, listening, waiting for the house to betray her again. But the silence was perfect, undisturbed. The shoe print she'd seen last night felt almost unreal now, yet she knew it had been there. The truth of it still pressed on her chest. By 7, she couldn't stand the quiet. She called the non-emergency line, her voice thin but steady, and asked for someone to check the house. They sent Detective Rowan Hale. When he arrived, Mara felt a flicker of relief. He looked calm, grounded, the kind of man who steadied the air around him. "You're Mara Kent?" he asked. She nodded. "Thank you for coming. Something was wrong last night." "Tell me what happened." She explained everything. He didn't interrupt, though his brow tightened when she reached the part about the footsteps. "You were alone?" "Yes, my husband's out of town." "You're sure you weren't half asleep?" "I know what I heard. I'm covering possibilities," he said gently. He walked toward the stairs, pausing where she'd seen the shoe print. The floor was spotless now. She'd scrubbed it in restless panic when morning came. "You said there was a print," Rowan murmured, "but you cleaned it." "I didn't want to look at it." He nodded and continued upstairs. Mara followed, pulse loud in her ears. He pushed open the bedroom door. Everything looked normal. Too normal. "You said you heard footsteps," he said. "I did." He crouched by the window. "This latch is loose." "What?" "The screws aren't fully set." "Was it always like this?" "No." "There's scratching on the frame too," he added. "Could be weather, could be tools." He stood, expression shifting. "I don't think you imagined this." A tremor ran through her. "Then someone was in my house." "Possibly. Check if anything else is different." "My mug, the back door, and there was a smell." Rowan's eyes sharpened. "What smell?" "Cologne. Not mine, not my husband's." Concern flickered across his face. "I'll check the rest of the house." While he worked, Mara sat gripping her phone, unable to be still. When Rowan finished, he stood before her. "There are signs someone may have come in," he said. "I'm taking this seriously." Her breath wavered. "Thank you." "I'll check nearby cameras. Keep everything locked and stay aware." He paused. "I'll check in later." He left. The silence felt heavier now, as if something unseen lingered. Mara sank back, pressing her hands to her face. Her phone buzzed. Storage almost full. A new folder sat in her gallery. System recordings. She hadn't created it. One video. Timestamp. 2:13 a.m. Last night. Her stomach dropped. She tapped it. The screen showed her own sleeping form, curled beneath the blanket, unaware. The angle was deliberate, fixed at the foot of the bed. The camera didn't shake. Someone had placed it there. Mara's breath fractured. She scanned the background for movement, for proof of who had held the phone. Near the end of the video, a shadow crossed the lens, a figure slipping toward the hallway. She dropped the phone, shaking violently. "Someone was in here," she whispered. "Someone was watching me." Faces flashed through her mind, neighbors, co-workers, even Daniel. Had someone followed her? Had someone been inside longer than she knew? She grabbed her bag, ready to rush out, when the doorbell rang. She froze. Relief crashed through her. It was Rowan again. "I checked the alley," he said when she opened the door. "One of the fences was disturbed. I think someone used it to access your yard." Mara's voice trembled. "Detective, you need to see something." Rowan stepped inside. She handed him the phone. As he watched the video, his jaw tightened. "This isn't just a break-in," he said. "Someone's been watching you, and they knew where you sleep." Fear hollowed her chest. Rowan met her eyes. "Mara, this isn't over. Whoever did this isn't finished." The weight of his words settled over her like a second skin. Mara wrapped her arms around herself. "Why me?" she whispered. Rowan scanned the room. "Most intruders don't film their victims. That makes this personal. It could mean fixation or familiarity." The word struck her. Familiarity? "It means the person might know you," he said softly. A chill moved through her. Faces flashed. Neighbors, co-workers, even Daniel calling her the night before. She pushed the thought away. "I don't have enemies," she said. "No conflicts, nothing that makes sense." "Not all obsession is logical," Rowan replied. "Sometimes it grows in silence." Mara lowered her head. "Should I leave the house?" "If you feel unsafe, yes. Stay with someone you trust." She hesitated. "Daniel's been distant. I don't want to add tension." "This isn't about tension," Rowan said. "It's about keeping you safe." She nodded, though uncertainty tugged at her. His steady voice grounded her in a way she didn't expect. "I'll start a file," Rowan continued. "We'll check your phone, your locks, everything. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, call me." His certainty steadied her. Rowan moved to the door. "I'll return soon." When it closed, the silence shifted again, tightening around her. Mara stood alone, clutching the phone that held undeniable proof of someone creeping into her life. She walked to the window and pulled the curtain back slightly. The street looked calm in the pale morning light, but her breath quickened. Anyone could be out there, watching, waiting. The thought rooted itself deep. She stepped back, locking the window with shaking fingers. For the first time, home felt like an open stage, and she was the only one unaware of the audience. She sensed danger rising with every passing quiet second. Mara spent the rest of the morning pacing her living room, unable to sit still, unable to calm the frantic rhythm of her heart. Rowan's warning replayed over and over, tightening around her ribs until breathing felt like a negotiation. Someone knew where she slept. Someone stood in the shadows of her bedroom, close enough to watch her breathing rise and fall. The knowledge scraped against her sanity. Her home no longer felt like a sanctuary. It felt like a crime scene, still warm with someone else's presence. She finally stepped outside for air. The cold breeze steadied her for a moment, but unease lingered like a weight strapped to her spine. When she caught movement across the street, a figure slipping behind a parked car, she froze. The shape was tall, shoulders slightly hunched. She blinked, and the figure vanished. A chill swept over her. Her instinct screamed that the person hadn't disappeared. They were hiding, watching, waiting. Her pulse fluttered painfully as she hurried back inside and locked the door, the metal click sounding too small to protect her. Inside, she forced herself to check each room again. Closet doors cracked open, curtains barely shifted, nothing concrete. Yet everything felt wrong. She stopped at the foot of the stairs, remembering the shoe print she had scrubbed away, wishing she had left it as proof. That shadow crossing her phone screen returned to her mind, stretching into something larger with every thought. She pressed her palms to her temples, whispering, "I'm not imagining this." Someone was here, Someone still is. A sudden knock at the door made her jump. Relief hit her when she saw Rowan through the peephole, but it faded quickly when she opened the door and saw the intensity in his eyes. "Mara," he said, "we found something outside your fence. A scrap of fabric caught on a nail, dark material, looks recent." She swallowed hard, gripping the doorframe to stay upright. "That means he was close," Rowan continued. "Too close." His voice softened. "You're not overreacting. Someone's targeting you." Rowan stepped inside, scanning the room with practiced focus. "You said the video was filmed from inside this room, right?" She nodded, keeping her arms wrapped tightly around herself. "Then the intruder didn't just observe you. He felt comfortable entering your personal space." Rowan's jaw tightened. That's obsession-level behavior. The word hit her like a blow. She turned away, hiding the quake of fear passing through her. "Is there anyone from your past?" Rowan asked carefully. "Who might fixate on you?" Her breath hitched. A single name pushed itself into her memory. Unwelcome, heavy, familiar. Liam Voss. She hadn't thought of him in 2 years. Not since the case that had nearly shattered her, the one where he had inserted himself too deeply, too personally, too intensely. He had called her resilient. He had told her she deserved protection. He had lingered long after the case closed, watching, waiting, messaging late at night. She had blocked him, reported him, tried to erase him from her mind. Now her stomach twisted. "There was someone," she whispered. Rowan stepped closer. "Who?" She hesitated, the air tightening as if the name itself had power. "Liam Voss. He was an investigator assigned to a case involving me. He got attached." Rowan's eyes darkened. "How attached?" "Too much," she said weakly. "He crossed boundaries. He showed up outside my work once. I filed a complaint. He disappeared after that." Rowan exhaled sharply. Disappeared doesn't mean gone. A creak from the back of the house made both of them fall silent. Rowan motioned for her to stay put and moved toward the sound, tension stiffening his posture. But when he returned, he shook his head. Nothing. Could have been the house. Mara didn't believe it. The air still felt disturbed. She sat slowly on the arm of the couch, gripping the fabric until her fingers ached. "Rowan," she whispered. "If Liam is back—" He held her gaze. "If he's back, we'll find him. I promise. But I need you to tell me everything about him." She explained the old case, how Liam had been assigned to interview her after she witnessed a violent incident, how he had lingered after each session, how his questions became strangely personal, how his presence in her life grew suffocating. Rowan listened intently. "Mara," he said, "obsession like that doesn't just evaporate. It festers. And people like him don't stop unless they're confronted or caught." Her pulse thudded. "He said once that he would always know when I wasn't safe," she whispered. "He said he could sense it." Rowan's expression sharpened. "That sounds like a threat disguised as concern." She nodded shakily. "What if he thinks I need protecting again?" "Then he's manufacturing the danger himself," Rowan said softly. "Some obsessives create fear to justify their presence." Her breath trembled. "So he could be breaking in to save me from the fear he caused?" "Yes," Rowan said. "That's exactly how some of them think." Her phone buzzed on the table. Both of them turned to look at it. A new video. Mara felt her stomach drop. Rowan grabbed the phone and opened it while she clutched the couch, nausea twisting through her. The video showed her from outside the bedroom door this time. A dark silhouette standing just out of view, breathing audible. The camera angling slightly as if the person were deciding whether to enter. In the last second of footage, a voice whispered, "You're not safe without me." Mara's blood ran cold. Rowan's face hardened. "That's him." Mara's knees gave out and she sank to the floor. "He came back," she whispered. "He never stopped." Rowan knelt beside her. "We're going to protect you, but I need you to leave this house tonight." She nodded numbly. "Where do I go?" Rowan hesitated, then said, "Somewhere he wouldn't expect, somewhere he doesn't know. She stared blankly at the wall, fear settling deep into her bones. "He thinks he owns my safety," she whispered. "He thinks he has a right to me." Rowan placed a steadying hand on her shoulder. "Mara, this just became a manhunt." She closed her eyes, hearing Liam's whisper echo through her skull. The truth settled in, heavy and undeniable. Liam Voss wasn't protecting her. He was claiming her. And now that he had resurfaced, he wouldn't stop until he believed she understood that. As Rowan helped her stand, Mara felt the walls of her home tighten one last time, as if holding a secret she hadn't yet uncovered. She didn't know it yet, but the worst betrayal was still waiting for her, and it wasn't coming from Liam. It was coming from someone far closer. Mara followed Rowan out of the house, her legs trembling beneath her. The air outside felt too open, too bright, too dangerous. Every shadow on the street seemed to breathe. As she locked the front door, for what she sensed might be the last time, her chest tightened with a mixture of grief and dread. Liam's whisper still echoed in her skull. "You're not safe without me." But Rowan's warning struck even deeper now. Obsession doesn't vanish. It festers. Rowan guided her to his unmarked sedan. "I've requested backup," he said. "We'll take you somewhere secure, then track down Liam." His voice had that steady command she desperately needed, yet she felt something twisting inside her, something unsettled. "Rowan," she whispered. "What if he's watching us right now?" Rowan scanned the street. "If he is, he'll slip up soon. Men like him always do." As they drove, Mara stared out the window at blurred houses and passing lights. Her thoughts tangled painfully. Liam had returned. Liam had filmed her. Liam had whispered to her through the dark. But the deeper truth, that he believed she needed him, felt like the twisted root of something far worse. Mara pressed a hand against her chest. How could he find me again after 2 years? Rowan's fingers tightened on the wheel. I've been thinking about that. Access like this doesn't come from coincidence. Someone had to give him a doorway. Mara looked at him slowly. What do you mean? Rowan hesitated, then said, I checked your phone logs. Someone requested your location history 7 months ago. Someone with your spouse's emergency access code. Her stomach lurched. Daniel? He had the authorization, Rowan said. But I'm not drawing conclusions yet. Mara shook her head, disbelief warring with panic. Daniel had always been distant, dismissive when work overwhelmed her, but he wasn't cruel. He wasn't reckless. He would never contact Liam, she whispered, though the words felt thin. Rowan didn't answer. When they arrived at the station's secure wing, Rowan led her into a quiet room. I want you to stay here while we look into Daniel's involvement, he said gently. Mara sank into a chair, her pulse spiraling. Please don't tell me my husband is part of this. Rowan crouched beside her. Mara, people do unthinkable things when they're scared of losing control. Obsession doesn't just belong to stalkers, it belongs to anyone who believes they have a claim over someone else's life. She thought of Daniel's recent distance, the clipped calls, the sudden work trips. Had that been guilt or preparation? Her throat tightened. If he let Liam into my life again. She couldn't finish the sentence. Before Rowan could respond, an officer knocked and handed him a file. Rowan opened it, and Mara watched the blood drain from his face. It's confirmed, he said quietly. Your husband hired Liam Voss last year as a private investigator. Mara felt the room tilt. No, Daniel wouldn't. He believed you were having an affair, Rowan said softly. He hired Liam to watch you, follow you, report on you. The words sliced through her. There was no affair, she whispered. Nothing. I was working double shifts. Rowan nodded. Daniel thought your distance meant betrayal. Instead of talking to you, he outsourced his paranoia to a man who was already unstable. Tears stung her eyes. So Liam didn't find me again by chance. Rowan shook his head. Daniel opened the door. And when he realized Liam had become fixated, he tried to cut him off, but by then, it was too late, Mara finished brokenly. A sharp alarm rang through the station. Rowan shot to his feet. Stay here. But Mara's body seized with dread. She stood and followed him into the hallway just as officers rushed past. "Intruder at the south entrance!" one shouted. Rowan's face hardened. "Mara, get back!" But she couldn't move. She knew. Before anyone said the name, she knew. Liam was here. A crash sounded at the end of the hall. A figure tore past officers, wild-eyed, desperate. Liam Voss. His gaze locked on Mara instantly. "You're not safe with them," he shouted. "I need to get you away from this." Officers tackled him, but he swung violently, breaking free for a moment. Mara stumbled back, heart shattering under the weight of memory and fear. "Liam, stop!" she cried. "You need help!" His voice cracked. "I tried to help you. He used me. He made me watch you." His eyes flicked toward Rowan. "She doesn't know the truth." Rowan drew his weapon. "Liam, stand down!" Liam lunged, not at Rowan but toward Mara. "You were never supposed to get hurt," he shouted. "I was trying to protect you from him." Officers swarmed, forcing him down, his screams echoing through the corridor. Mara stood frozen as Liam's words spiraled inside her. "He made me watch you. Daniel, her husband." The betrayal hit her so sharply she could barely breathe. Rowan caught her as she sank to her knees. Hours later, she sat in a dim interview room facing Daniel. His wrists were cuffed, his eyes were swollen from crying. But when he looked at her, she felt nothing familiar. "Mara," he whispered, "I only wanted the truth." She stared at him with hollow disbelief. "You hired a man who harassed me, who obsessed over me, who broke into our home." Daniel shook his head frantically. "It was never supposed to go that far. I just needed to know if you still loved me." Mara felt her chest fracture. "You destroyed everything to answer a question that didn't exist." Daniel leaned forward. "I tried to stop him when I saw what he was becoming. But he threatened me. He said he'd tell you." Mara's voice was cold. "Tell me what? That my husband didn't trust me?" Daniel's face crumpled. "Mara, I'm sorry." Rowan entered the room. "Your husband is being charged with reckless endangerment, unauthorized surveillance and conspiracy," he said. "Liam will face separate charges for stalking, breaking and entering, and attempted abduction." Mara nodded shakily. Justice wasn't clean. It wasn't comforting. It was sharp and exhausting, carved from the ruins of people's worst choices. 3 months later, she sat in the courtroom as Daniel was sentenced. His eyes searched for her forgiveness, but she no longer had any pieces left to give him. When Liam was wheeled in, restrained, he looked at her with a tragic, broken devotion. She looked away. She owed him nothing. When the judge's gavel fell, ending the case, Mara exhaled for the first time in months. The truth had cost her her marriage, her safety, her sense of self, but it had also freed her from the shadows that once claimed her home. As she stepped outside, Rowan waited quietly. "You ready?" he asked. Mara nodded. "I'm ready to start over." And for the first time, the air felt hers again.